Hi everyone. It's Sunday, December 6th, time for another HideNet Week in Review. I'm Vera Dordick. So once again in the Hide market, it was an unremarkable week. With a few exceptions, prices are steady overall and there was no drama to speak of. Looking at the U.S. market first, prices on cows and steers were largely steady except for automotive selections that are firm or a little bit higher. Overall, as we noted last week, most sources agree that the upward creep of prices that we've seen over the past couple of months is indeed over for the time being. Still, sellers don't have inventories of unsold hides, and so they are under no pressure to sell at anything lower than steady. For the week, heavy Texas steers were unchanged again, and much of that is due to availability. They continued to trade at a high of $30 for seasonal 62-64 pound selections. Slaughter for the week through Saturday, December 5th was 667,000. That's substantially higher than last week, but that was indeed due to the Thanksgiving holiday. And speaking of slaughter, some packers are having to preemptively deal with COVID outbreaks among workers again. But this time they're prepared and they've sent at-risk workers home. Taking a look at combined export sales, they were 535,600, which is just below the previous week's 544,500, and that's a decent showing for a holiday shortened one. Combined shipments were slightly higher at 420,200. And again, I think it's important to note that shipping is just a disaster right now because of all the issues with securing space in vessels, the shortage of containers, just to name a few problems. Turning to Europe, editor Andrea Guolo reports that slaughterhouses are looking for price increases, but for now, prices are still stable. With regard to the English 36 plus ox, prices are unchanged, but sellers are definitely looking for more. Right now, they're still getting 90 cents sterling per kilogram in Britain, and in Ireland, prices are also unchanged at 85 cents in euros per kilogram. Looking at European bulls, the main news is from Germany, where sellers are aiming for higher prices, and they did manage to increase them, but not all the way to their desired levels. That, however, is not out of the question for next week, says Andrea. Selections from southern Germany right now are selling for €1.28 per kilo. Taking a look at cows, some origins saw an increasing trend, but overall, he says it's a balanced market. For veal skins, on the other hand, it seems impossible to push prices higher, and they are stuck at steady levels, and that's for the best grades. In his analysis this week, Andrea takes a look at the status of the work in tanneries, and he also reports from the UNICH assembly, where the discussion focused on the results of 2020 so far for the tanning industry. And unfortunately, it's estimated that in the first 8 months of 2020, because of the pandemic and all of the related consequences, the Italian leather industry has seen production drop by just over 29% in value and almost 23% in volume, with exports down by a little over 30%, and those account for 70% of the sector's total turnover. It's not a pretty picture, but that's pretty much the case for 2020 just about everywhere. Finally, turning to Brazil, editor Ronald Guiel says that the week saw another hike in raw material prices. Fresh hides are 6 cents higher to sell for R$1 15 cents per kilo, and this is largely because slaughter continues to be very low. Consequently, TR1 also rose to sell for 83 cents per square foot, and that's in US dollars. In other news from Brazil, the footwear sector created 28,000 jobs in 4 months, and the CSCB is holding a sustainability forum this week on Tuesday and Wednesday that will be simultaneously translated into English and Portuguese. Elsewhere in Latin America, Argentina's livestock population continues to expand, and its government is once again holding up the export of Brazilian shoes into the country. In Chile, Under Armour has a new distributor. Colombian footwear exports were down in October, and Mexico shipped more than 1 million kilograms of hides and leather to Brazil this year. And finally, in Paraguay, cattle slaughter by exporters fell a little over 18% in November. So that's all we have for this week, and until next week, good night from HideNet.